Hi, I'm Jim Humble, and I want to tell you a little bit about the acceptance procedure. Now, there's a lot of psychologists and a lot of other people, a lot of other teachers will tell you that you need to accept things. But for the most part, they don't tell you how to accept things. So just saying you got to accept things sometimes isn't enough. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't enough. So I have added the little procedure that comes just before that. Now, there is a fact that it doesn't do any good to resist things, because as you resist things, in order to resist something, you have to hold it in place. In order to be mad at somebody, you have to hold a picture somewhere in your mind of being mad at that guy or whatever. So if you can accept things, then you don't have to hold those negative pictures in your mind. There are other ways to do it too, but acceptance is probably basic to it all. Now, it doesn't do any good to resist anything from right now into the past, because the past cannot be changed. Maybe in some other universe, some other place, there was a universe that you could change the past, but this universe you can't. The past is set. So the only thing you can change is the future. From right now on, there's a possibility of changing it any way you want it to, or there's a possibility of that, but you can't change the past. So there's no point in resisting the past. There's no point in being upset with the past. There's no point in having a problem with the past of any kind. So what you need to do is to know how to accept the past and accept things, and that's basically anything that you accept, of course, is going to be the past. So and you don't have to accept things that's in the future or that may be happening in the future. That's things that you can change. So you can work out a method of changing something in the future, but not in the past. So how do you accept things in the past? Well, it's quite simple, and I'm going to give you the procedure for it right now. And some of you may already know how to do it. Maybe most of you already know, but there's a lot of people that don't. And let me say that there's a lot of people who have taken the acceptance procedure that I'm about to give you, and they have changed their lives with it. But nobody changes his life unless he wants to. And there are a lot of people who don't want to change their lives. And if they don't want to change their lives, I don't care what kind of a procedure you give them or how you tell them, they won't change their life until they decide they want to change their lives. And so this is a procedure that you can use to change your life if you want to change it. If you don't want to change it, then obviously it won't change. So, but you can use this procedure to accept things and have a better life and enjoy life a lot more than if you're resisting and upset with things. So this is one of those procedures that's totally up to you. You can use it to your advantage, or you can not use it at all. So this is the way it goes. I want you now, where you're at, to look around the room and find something that is acceptable to you, just the way it is. You don't have to change or anything. It's just acceptable the way it is. Okay, well, I assume that you found something. Now, look around the room and find something else that's acceptable to you, just the way it is. You don't have to change it, nothing. It's okay, just like it is. All right, that's good. Now, one more thing, just one more thing. You don't have to worry about a whole bunch of things. Just one more thing. Look around this room and find something that's acceptable to you. Okay, well, I assume you did, and thank you for that. Now, the next thing is just a little bit harder, but not a lot harder. I want you to look at the window and just decide that window is acceptable to you. Good. Now I want you to look at the floor and just decide that floor is acceptable to you. Now I don't care what kind of condition the floor is in or what the situation is with that floor. I just want you to decide that that floor is acceptable to you just as it is right now. Okay. Now look at the ceiling and decide that that ceiling is acceptable to you. Okay. Now I want you to to think of something in your mind that's not present. So I want you to think about your kitchen, and I want you to accept the kitchen cabinet. Just decide that kitchen cabinet is acceptable just the way it is. Now, you can change it in the future. You can decide it's acceptable right now, and you can change it for tomorrow if you want to. But right now, I want you to decide that that kitchen cabinet is acceptable right now. Okay. Now, good. Now, the drawer where your knives and forks are. That's again. Now, I want you to decide that that drawer is acceptable to you. Now, it don't have to be acceptable tomorrow or any other time, but it has to be acceptable right now, the way it is, without changing or anything else. It's just acceptable the way it is. Okay, now, one more thing. I want you to decide that your kitchen table is acceptable to you. Just the way it is. You can change it some other time, but right now, the way it is, the way it's sitting there in your kitchen right now, it's acceptable to sit there in your kitchen right now the way it is. Okay. Now, something that I want you to get a picture, a mental picture of an airplane flying over the house, way up in the sky. All right. Now, I want you to get the idea that that airplane is acceptable. And not that airplane that I'm talking about, the picture in your mind is acceptable. The picture that you created of that airplane is acceptable. Okay, now I want you to get a picture of a oak tree. And I want you to get the idea that that oak tree, that picture that's in your mind, that's acceptable. Now, I want you to get a picture of a ship out on the ocean. And the ship is just running along in the ocean. And I want you to get the idea that that picture is acceptable. That picture is acceptable to you. Now, a little bit harder. I want you to get a picture of an automobile. Let's say a Cadillac has just run into a telephone pole. Bang. There it is. There is a broken up, smashed in automobile. Now I want you to get the idea that that picture that you have created is acceptable to you. Okay, good. Now I want you to get the idea, I want you to get the picture of an automobile running across the desert. This automobile is running along, and pow, it has a flat tire in the back. You pull it over to the curb, and now there's an automobile with a flat tire. That's just a picture. That's all it is. That's a picture in your mind. You're learning to control the pictures a little bit in your mind. Now, I want you to get the acceptance, the idea that you can accept that picture of a flat tire on an automobile. Just accept that picture, whatever you have, just as it is. All right? One more thing. Let's get a picture of a bicycle. And the bicycle is running downhill, and it gets a flat tire. Now, I want you to see that all of a sudden it gets a flat tire, and it gets really rough and bumpy, and it's bumping and it's jolting you so hard that you have to get off the bicycle. And there's a bicycle with a flat tire. Now, I want you to get the idea, get the concept and make the decision that that picture is acceptable. Now, that's a picture that you've created now. It isn't a real bicycle. It's just a picture that you've created. It's in your mind. Now, good. Now, just accept that. Now, let's go to a real incident. I want you to recall an incident where you really enjoyed yourself. Let's say an incident where you went to the beach somewhere and you stayed at the beach for a while and you enjoyed yourself at the beach. Okay, now I want you to accept that incident. Just accept it as being good for you. Accept that the incident happened. Okay, now get another incident. Recall a time that you enjoyed yourself at a moving picture show somewhere. If you can't remember a moving picture show, recall some other kind of a show that you went to, a play or something. Recall a time that you enjoyed yourself at a play or a show. Okay, I want you to accept that incident. Just accept the incident as it was, that you enjoyed yourself. Accept that. Okay, now recall another time that you enjoyed yourself. Maybe you had a picnic with somebody, or maybe you went out with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something. Recall another time that you enjoyed yourself. Okay, now just accept that incident. Just decide that that incident is acceptable to you. That's all. All right, now a little bit harder yet. Recall a time that you didn't enjoy yourself. Recall a bad time that you had. Whatever it was, recall a bad time that you had. Okay, I assume you got one. Now, I want you to look at that incident and accept that bad time. Okay, now, there was an emotion in that bad time. There was an emotion. It was either anger or upset or irritation or fear or something. Some emotion was there. I want you to recall that emotion. Okay, now I want you to accept that emotion. Accept the fact that you had that emotion then. Just accept the emotion. Now, there may have been another emotion. If there wasn't another emotion, don't worry about it. But if there was a second emotion present, I want you to recall that emotion, and then I want you to accept it. Okay. Now, good. I assume you've done that. Now, I want you to recall another bad time that you had. Something that was pretty tough for you. Okay, whatever it was, I'm sure you have it. I want you to accept that bad time, whatever it was. Just decide it's okay. Decide it's acceptable. It's already gone. You can never do anything about it. You can never change it. It's always there. And just accept it as it is. And you can go on. Now, the next thing is, you guessed it, there's an emotion there somewhere. Maybe fear. Maybe anger. Maybe one of the other emotions, or any one of a number of them. And so you just accept that emotion. Just decide it was okay. You had it then. It ain't now. It was then. Decide it's okay. Accept it. Okay. Now there may have been another emotion. There may have been two more emotions. But whatever there was in emotions, I want you to go ahead and accept those other emotions. Okay. I'm sure that you've done it, because hundreds of people have done it before you, so I know that you can do it. Now, the next one more bad time. Get a real bad time this time, something that really happened. Maybe you had an accident, maybe even somebody died. Now, just recall that bad time. Decide that you can accept it. Decide that that you have accepted it. Now, come up with now recall an emotion that was there. Maybe it was sadness. Maybe it was anger. Any emotion that was there, just recall it, and then accept that emotion. That should be good. Now look for any other emotion that was present. Okay. Now accept that any other emotion. Okay. Now that should be enough of that. Now let's go to something that's a little bit harder. There must have been a time in your life, somewhere along the line, when somebody died. I don't know who it might have been. It might have been your mother, it might have been your friend, or it might have been a lover, or it might have been a child. Recall a time in your life when somebody died. Okay, now I want you to look at that incident, that time, the funeral or whatever it was that happened. I want you to accept that time, accept it. Now there's going to be a great deal of sadness involved with that. Now it's an emotion. Whatever, there is a sadness emotion, which is the worst. And I want you to look at that sadness or that emotion, whatever it was, and I want you to accept that now. Now you've come up a ways and you've been accepting things and you know how to accept things, and you should be able to accept it because hundreds of people have done it before you and it works out pretty well. So just accept that sadness, accept that emotion, and look at it again. Look at the emotion again and decide you can accept it again. And if you have a problem with accepting it, then just look at the things that are around, the pictures that are around the funeral and around the situation it involved, and look at each one of those and accept those. Look at maybe the casket, or look and accept that, and look at the flowers and accept those, and then look back again at the emotion and accept that, and keep moving around the area, accepting things, and then looking back at the sadness and accepting that, and you should find that it is, within a short period of time, you should find that it's fairly easy to accept the emotions that are there. Now, one more thing, a little bit harder. I want you to get a picture of a casket. Got a good picture of a casket? Okay, this is going to be a little bit harder. I guess you probably already guessed it. That's your casket. And your body is in there. And this is a future date, some way down in the future, but it does exist. And it's you in that casket. And your body's dead, but you ain't dead. You're somewhere around. But I want you to accept the fact that there is a dead body in that casket, and that is your dead body. Now, if you can't accept the fact that that's your dead body in there, then accept the casket. Accept the flowers that are around the casket again. Accept the things that are close by. Accept anybody who is there feeling bad or with sorrow or crying. Accept all of that. Keep accepting things around there until you can accept the fact that sometime in a distant future, there's your body in a casket. Now, if you can do this, the fear of death that you have will be a great deal less. Now, I know that because I've had a lot of people do this, and most of them have told me that their fear of death is a great deal less than it's ever been before. And a lot of them have said they have enjoyed life better. So if it isn't working for you, it's only because you haven't worked at it enough. You need to work at it a little bit more. You need to accept more things around there, accept the room that the casket is in, accept the people that's there, accept the flowers, accept your feelings. Any emotion that you have, accept that emotion, whatever it might be, sadness or anger or fear, especially fear. If you fear this sort of thing, then be sure to accept that fear and keep accepting the fear until you have it under control. Because the acceptance of these things, the acceptance of fear, the control of fear, and the control of all of these things that we're talking about simply is your ability to control the pictures that are in your mind. Because if you can control these pictures, then you can control the emotions that go with them. So be sure to work at this for a little while. It shouldn't take you a long time. You shouldn't have to work and work and work at it and all that. You should be able to get it in 10, 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes that you and I are working at this. But if you have a real hard time, my suggestion is you do it a couple of times, maybe tomorrow evening too, or maybe tomorrow morning, or 2, 3, 4 times until you have it pretty well under control. You'll find that you have much better control over your fear of death and your understanding of life and that sort of thing if you can do this. And so I want to, so that's about the best I can tell you about acceptance. If you have any problem, then go back over this and do it again. So I want to wish you good luck in your road through life.